Yes.
This Wagyu cooked like that is absolutely one of the most tenderest, juiciest things you'll ever put in your mouth.
That's the best steak I've ever had.
So to start out with, I want to tell you we're located in East Texas, and I'm going to tell you the name of the city. You're going to think this is pretty cool. It's called Gun Barrel City. How could anybody not like that? So just outside of Gun Barrel City is a nice ranch down by the Trinity River bottom, and it's owned by Charles Allen and his wife Jody. Charles owns Knives of Alaska and also Diamond Blade Knives, and they've been a sponsor of ours for years.
I'm Charles Allen with Diamond Blade Knives and Knives of Alaska. We're here on our ranch in East Texas. We're having Keith and Matti Warren in, along with Tom Claycomb, who's a professional butcher, outdoor rider, and he's going to show us how to properly prepare a individual cut from a wild boar, from a 8-point buck we took here, and one of the steers that we've taken off of our ranch. We've got Michael with Rosewood Ranches coming over. He's a master chef, one of only 15 in America.
My name's Tom Claycomb III. I'm an outdoor writer, write for a lot of different publications, do a lot of outdoor seminars. After college, I went to Texas A&M, animal science degree, started working for the big packers. I've worked for 3 of the top 4 packers as a butcher. And so I took what I learned in the beef packing business and applied it in the outdoor world. And to me, if you take your deer, elk, whatever, to the processor, drop it off, your hunt's over. To me, packing out the deer, processing it, making my own sausage, it just makes the whole experience longer. And I'm super excited about this. And man, I'm glad to meet this High Roads team.
All right, so if you take the back strap off before you take the shoulder off, you may be wasting meat, and Tom's going to show you why.
This is super simple to take off. We're going to use the new Knives of Alaska professional boning knife, the flexible model. The reason we want it this flexible, it gets what we call a cleaner bone, which means you're getting more meat off the bone. You're going to hit the main seam in here. So I'm going to go along, I'm going to hit this brisket, take it with it, cut it, and I'm on the backhand right through there. You can cut it straight, and we're going to follow this seam, and you're going to hit the end of that, what we call the paddle bone, which is the scapula. We're going to go right up, pretty much to the back here, and cut right down there, hitting that seam, and it's going to just fall right off. It's that simple.
And so look at that. A lot of people, if you wind up cutting that back strap out first, you've got this little layer of meat and you've wasted it. And so cut your shoulders off first. Back strap, okay. This is where the back strap is, right here, on either side of the spine, running right down here. And Tom's gonna show you how he takes it off right now.
So I'm gonna go, notice how I'm pressing. That's why I like this flexible knife. I'm running right along here. Now, what we'll do, we'll hit right at the bottom. Now, here's that joint that separates, here's the sirloin. We're gonna go right here, and then I'm gonna go out that rib cage. Okay, so here we go. I'll cut that out. So there's our back strap.
Oh yeah, and you may be wondering about back strap on a cow, okay? That's the reason why we've got this steer front quarter right here. And Tom is gonna show you what the back strap on a steer looks like. All right, so what are you doing on the back strap on a steer now?
We are about to show you. So we'll count here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna mark through here. I'm gonna ride the 5th rib to leave that on here because we want more ribeye. Okay, here's your back strap going down the backbone, just like you pull your back strap. But on a cow, remember how we went way up to that first rib? Can't do that. So everybody agrees to the 5th rib is the ribeye. Above that is the chuck. I'll get this Sawzall, I'll cut it off right here.
Well, we can play that video back and you actually take a look at that knife and how easily it went through that meat. I mean, that was amazing.
Okay, you ready?
Yes, sir. Woo! I think I can hold it.
That's a piece of meat.
Yes, sir. All right, so you wind up seeing us take care of our guns all the time using Lucas products and specifically the CLP. But I want to tell you, as a hunter, okay, the best knife I've found is going to be a diamond blade. And the reason why is because it is friction forged. And I use the same products that I use on taking care of my gun on my knife blade. And you may think, why is that? Well, what it does is that the diamond blade friction forging process, it is so finite. I mean, it makes the blade so hard that what this CLP does, it cleans, lubricates, and protects, but it's basically a little solvent. It prevents the fat from building up on the micro serrations on the cutting edge. So taking care of your knives is just as important as taking care of your guns. And right before you use it on anything you're gonna eat, make sure and just wash it off with a mild soap and you're good to go. All right, we wound up, we got the back strap off one side of this hog, but we're gonna get the chops on this hog and show you what they look like. So go ahead, Tom. You're still using that Knives of Alaska flexible blade?
Exactly, that's my go-to knife. When the skin's off, this is in my hand.
Okay.
So I'll turn it around here. The ribs, you can see them, they kind of go, so don't go straight, you'll hit them. Just follow that rib cage, wherever he is, right on down. There he is. And so I'll get Sawzall now, and I'm gonna cut right through there, and then we'll cut her off on the table. Now what we're going to do, that knife cut right there near that about 4th rib or so, we're going to cut across, get the rack, and I'll cut the other side off. Ready there, Keith?
Yeah.
Okay,
Ooh, that's a pretty piece of meat right there. All right, so here's what we have. We have the bone-in rib right here on venison, and then on pork. We've gone ahead and cut the bottom of the rib off here. We're gonna cut the bottom of the rib off on the venison now, except you're gonna start with going, trying to go right down the spine?
That's gonna be the plan. You ready?
Okay. Yep. Okay, good.
Perfect.
So, now you wanna go ahead and cut the tails off of that?
You bet.
We're gonna cut it right here, okay? I'm holding it this way just so you can see on camera exactly where we're gonna cut it.
Ready?
Yes, sir. All right, so here's what we have. Take a look at this bone-in rib right here on the cow, and same exact cut off venison, and same exact cut on the wild boar. Then we have a back strap off the wild boar, back strap off the venison. What we're gonna do now, take them to Matti, and she's gonna get to work on them.
This whole idea is something that I've wanted to do for a really long time because I love to hunt. I grew up hunting, and now as I've gotten older, I love to cook. I think it's fun to be in the kitchen and try new recipes and just try to expand our taste buds, and as a hunter, respect the animal. Even when you're buying beef at the store, you're raising cattle, I think it's important to respect that animal and to utilize every piece of meat that you can. So we're gonna go over some of those unique cuts and how tasty they actually are so we can hopefully respect the animal better and be more ethical hunters. All right, howdy everybody. The next stop on this journey is right here in the outdoor kitchen, and we've got a lot going on. Earlier today, my dad and Tom butchered up some meat, and there's a lot of different cuts. We got a lot of people inside for a party, so now we've got to feed them. And I'm with none other than the chef, Michael Scott. So he's gonna teach me how to cook some of this good meat.
I got schooled today on a lot of things. I thought I knew my way around a carcass, but today I learned some tricks. I think a lot of it has to do with this knife right here. The quality of this knife that they use for boning out most of the product that they use today, it's an exceptional blade.
Yeah,
So now
absolutely.
I'm hoping we can take what they did for us today and make something edible. What we have here is a venison backstrap, a wild boar backstrap, and then we have some bone-in products, which are going to be chops, which are basically a loin. So what I thought we'd do is introduce maybe a couple little things in here that the average hunter wouldn't do.
Yeah, that's what we all need.
We're gonna do some basics here, but then we're gonna do some other stuff. Wild boar is one of those ones that it's not done right. You can damage the meat and the flavor of it, but they did an incredible job doing this. So what I wanted to do was take this beautiful rack that we have here and French cut it. And
Okay.
So basically we're gonna take the rack and cut it at the top and the bottom, And then we're gonna take off all the connective tissue from the top of the bones.
Okay.
And then the Frenching technique is basically going up and down and pulling out the finger meat in between of the rib meat, exposing just the bone, and this is called Frenching. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cook a couple chops off of each carcass. So I'm gonna come down through here and cut me a nice wild boar chop. Broke down our racks. We have our full rack and we have our chops. What I want to do with these today is play around with a little bit more of our seasonings and rub, and then do a couple different cooking techniques. So, you know, everyone has their own seasonings, everyone has their own flavors. You know, picking out something that you enjoy and that you're comfortable with, I think, is the key to cooking, right?
Yes.
Now, with the venison, the pork, and the Wagyu, we have a couple different kinds of seasoning. Now, with the venison, I like to use a seasoning that has a little bit more pepper in it. I like that black pepper flavor. With the pork, I use some Icky Sticky Pig marinade a friend of mine developed. And then again, with the Wagyu is just salt and pepper. And then I continued that with the chops that we're gonna cook, the same seasoning. Rubs and different spices are great on wild game. With the Wagyu, the two things that it loves the most is kosher salt and black pepper. So when we season the Wagyu, I season it almost like snow with kosher salt. It's very heavy and liberal because this fat just sucks it up. So when we put that on there, we want to be very liberal with that on the Wagyu.
Okay.
But we're all seasoned up here and ready to go.
All right, so now we have the venison backstrap and the hog backstrap. The hog was seasoned just like everything else with the icky sticky. Is that what you
Icky
call
Sticky
it?
Pig, yeah.
Most pigs are icky and sticky, but it's more of a sweeter seasoning. The venison's got some pepper in it, some nice herbs. We're gonna put it in this smoker, smoke it for a little while, and then finish it off on the cast iron. Okay, so this is a smoking gun. We use a lot of guns on our TV show. This is the first gun that I've ever used that smokes. So what we're gonna do right here is put the meat inside. I got a jalapeno, because why not? Just load it up. We're gonna close it up. And this little hose right here puts the smoke in this little container. We're gonna torch it right here, and this little dish is where you put your flavor. They make these little chips.
Zap on that.
There we
deal.
go.
And this will be controlled. You can control the actual flow. If you turn it on higher or slower, depending on what you're smoking, but you got this down. You did great.
Well, we'll just let it do its wonder, and then it's gonna hit the cast iron.
Okay, Matti, we are all set up. I have a couple cast iron pans. I love cooking in cast iron. We're gonna go ahead and take the venison rack and the wild boar rack. Tiny little bit of fat in there. This is just a little bit of blended olive oil.
Okay.
And then we're gonna go ahead and try to get a nice sear. We're gonna lay this down, the muscle side down, and let that caramelization start happening there. And then we're gonna do the same with the pig. What we want to do is get a nice caramelization, sear in all the juices. We're going to pop this in an oven at about 370 degrees for about 12 to 14 minutes.
Okay.
And let that cook. Cast iron and Wagyu go really well together. It really likes a high, dry heat, and the cast iron does really well. Oh, we are looking really good. Matti, I'm going to give this to you and let you take this inside. You're going to pop this in that oven that we got at 340 degrees and let that go. I'll follow you in here in a bit.
Okay.
Because that'll be a little hot, and you're all set to go pop that right in the oven.
I'm not gonna catch it on fire, am I?
I think you're good.
Okay. Okay.
You've done this before.
Woohoo!
All right, and then we're just gonna do the same thing here. It's getting a nice little caramelization in it, and that is the key. And we're going to sear the other side, and that's about it, what we're gonna do with that. And a lot of people that hunt should really take a look at what I'm doing over here in this little pot. This is a technology called sous-vide. By cooking things at a very constant temperature, breaks down proteins, makes them very tender, very juicy, and very flavorful. What I have in this pot here is a little bit of what you would call off of the other animals a backstrap. So we took a little bit of this ribeye, and what we did is we put it into this circulator, and when you do that, all the molecules inside of that muscle are very calm. And so all we're gonna do to finish this is to pat it dry on both sides. We're gonna add just a little bit more seasoning to it. on both sides. And then we're gonna flash it into this cast iron pot. And again, the cooking process is all done. It's already ready to eat. What we wanna do is add some external caramelization to the product and get that steak nice and juicy and crispy on the outside. So Matti, how did that go?
Oh, good.
So this steak is done. So what I wanted to show you here on this steak, and this is the beauty of it. This steak was only in this pan for literally less than a minute, 2 minutes, right?
Okay.
But because of this technology and this wonderful way of cooking it, when I cut into this steak, look at this. This is the game changer.
Oh my goodness, it's perfect.
Look at that steak.
And it's not bleeding
that steak
everywhere.
is medium rare from top to bottom. Matti, you gotta try this. I gotta let you
Oh,
taste
please.
a little piece. This Wagyu cooked like that is absolutely one of the most tenderest, juiciest things you'll ever put in your mouth.
That's the best steak I've ever had.
And there's no purge. There's no blood coming out of it. It's perfectly cooked, top to bottom, medium rare.
All right, so what's up next?
Well, we're gonna move over to the grill and throw on these tomahawk chops and ribeye.
Perfect, let's
Yeah?
do it.
Let's do it.
So here we have our smorgasbord. We have the cuts that we went over earlier, plus a few goodies that Michael brought. And go ahead and point out what's what.
Here we have our chops that have a nice caramelization started on the other side.
That's the
We are
pork,
nice
right?
and yes ma'am, that's the pork. And then we have a couple of these beautiful venison chops that are just absolutely beautiful. The tomahawk, I'm gonna leave a little bit more. We started to achieve this and I told you about the caramelization. See that? That's
Yeah.
what you're looking for. Once that caramelization starts happening, that's when the meat starts getting really flavorful. So we are getting real close to starting to enjoy some of this product that we've been working all day, Matti. This is
It's beautiful, it smells
we're ready
so
to flip
good.
that. And now, once we get this caramelization, we take a little bit more of the wonderful Wagyu butter that we brought along. Again, this is again just rendered down with the fat, some black peppercorn, a little bit of bay leaf, a little bit of onion. You smear this on these Wagyu steaks and they just add another dimension to the flavor profile.
This is wild game at its finest. So we're gonna let this rest. We're gonna finish up the rest of everything, and we're gonna feed these hungry folks and have ourselves a good evening.
Thank you, Matti.
No, thank you,
Awesome
seriously.
job.
I've learned a lot.
This has been phenomenal.
All right, so here is the finished product of our day. We started out, we butchered these animals, and then we spent a lot of time and effort cooking and showing all the different cuts of the meat. So here's how it turned out. We've got the pork, venison, and Wagyu on all of these different cuts, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So I just gotta give you a big thank you for teaching us and coming out here and bringing some great meat. It's just been seriously my type of day.
Work with a lot of people. When you find people that have passion in what they do, like your father and you do with the things that you're doing for folks out there, I attribute a lot of gratitude towards you folks. So thank you.
Thanks. Same
It's
to
been
you.
my
It's
pleasure.
been great to share our passion of cooking, and we hope you've enjoyed it. And we got to give a big thank you to Diamond Blade Knives and Knives of Alaska, because none of these animals would be on these plates if it weren't for those knives. So
Very
we
good.
appreciate y'all watching.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching part 1 of this wild game meat series. If you learned something, be sure to be on the lookout for other cooking episodes to help you get more out of your meat. And head on over to our YouTube channel where we're posting tons of action-packed hunting and outdoor content. Thanks for watching The High Road. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
A good day's work and a good meal.
Even better meal. Cheers.
My name is Keith Warren, and I've killed more wild hogs using a larger variety of hunting methods than any other hunter. I love killing hogs, and I'm dang good at it. And if you watch this video in its entirety, I guarantee you, you'll become a more successful hog hunter too, no matter what method you choose.